On this episode, we're going to talk about document, don't create. Greg and Super 8.
Busy summers.
A busy summer.
The winner of Super 8, I will see you somewhere in the world, is Greg Flint. Greg Flint! Let's call it out! 1 hour, I'm gonna give you my whole heart and soul. I'm gonna change your... Greg, congratulations.
Hey, this is Greg Flint.
Hey, this is Jon Maichel Thomas.
And you're watching On-1.
Episode 2. Sorry for the crazy audio. We are trying to just make this a regular thing, and the summer got away from us, like most things do. And all right, Greg. So, what's happening with Super 8?
That's a fantastic question. A lot of emails back and forth, trying to fit things into, a busy schedule for me and I'm certain, insanely busy schedule for Gary, and it hasn't happened yet. It will. I think probably it'll be at this point October, November, hoping, but we'll see. I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be great. I have no idea what the outcome will be other than it will be good. That's the only thing that's the only thing I know.
So Greg, the Garyvee journey hasn't yet to start yet, but
Yes.
That's a good thing.
I think it is. I think so.
Have you gotten any, did anybody email you any questions?
No, I've gotten very little feedback. I've got a couple of friends that reach out every now and then, or I run into them occasionally and they'll say, hey, did you go yet? Not yet. So it'll be fun though.
Right. So I still kind of like the idea that I would like the idea that we do this more frequently.
Yeah, totally.
And try to use it to get other people to come.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get a regular, talk to other people.
Right.
In the community.
Yep. I don't know if you saw, I don't remember what episode it was, one of the ones from last week. There was a guy who said, hey, how can I meet like-minded people that, that are like me, that watch you? And Gary's like, all right, Vayner Nation, here's this guy's Twitter handle. I can't remember the guy's name, but yeah.
We'll link them up.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was funny because I was thinking about that. I'm like, I think there really is power in that community of people, and figuring out how to bring those people together less casually and more purposefully.
Yeah.
Would be pretty cool.
I started watching, a lot of Mike stuff. I'm always watching Gary stuff. I've been studying a lot of what's going on with YouTube, and I kind of came to this realization that I'm always, when I'm working with clients, I'm telling them, create content.
Right.
I'm telling them, document what's going on. And it's amazing because now you have a voice in Gary Vaynerchuk, which is like document, don't create.
Right.
And it's like, I'm just like, it's such a simple, point of view. And literally, Alyssa and I, that's been kind of our mantra lately. And I've shot a few vlogs that I've yet to finish edit. And I shot one yesterday. I shot a fun one yesterday.
Nice.
But I got done, and I was already sitting there to try to film the last thing, and I totally choked. I totally had complete stage fright. Wow. And it was funny, and I shot the end of it today, kind of telling about it. It's just funny how you just can't control those. Everybody's gonna see this.
Right.
Now what?
Right. No, that's a good point, and I like the document, don't create thought process, and I think the most genuine, the most authentic people that you see on the internet, they're very much that way. Like, I believe that if we were in Jimmy Fallon's living room, it would feel a lot like being on, the show with Jimmy Fallon, because I think that's just who he is. And I don't think there's an inauthentic bone in that dude's body. And I think that's why he succeeds. And you look at Pat Flynn, another one guy, he'll be in town.
He's back in town?
He'll be back in town for Lead Pages
again
event. Yeah, he's going to be back. So another great guy, super authentic, and I think his audience recognizes that authenticity, and that's why they listen. So I love and all those guys, that's what they're doing. They're documenting. They're not producing content. They're just documenting what's going on.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I think that's a great concept.
Document, don't create is brilliant.
Yep. And I also like when you're like, so I'm editing it and I'm trying to figure this out, and I'm like, that's the power of Snapchat and Instagram and all these things where there's no editing, or even more importantly probably Beam, where Beam is really as authentic as you can possibly be, because you can't even see what is going on.
Yeah. Back rolling again.
Yeah.
I've been so stuck in, this idea of document, don't create. As a filmmaker,
I was just going to say, dude,
it's so difficult for me. Snapchat stories, Instagram stories, I'll just snap it. It's like fix it. What is it? Set it and forget it. Set it and forget it. I just like bam. But I do catch myself sometimes doing a little bit of editing, especially if it's like me speaking, which I have to get completely over with.
Right.
But there is a little bit of a perfectionist problem I have.
Well, and I wonder if
when I'm working on,
and I wonder if
stuff.
there's some way to, I think that's just at some point in time the camera, the phone, the whatever blends into the background, and you don't even notice that it's there anymore, and you're just, But I think that's an interesting point of view. I think that's something that people, when you think about the core of why Facebook is interesting and why people, scroll through it, and especially when you think about Facebook advertising, people are stopping at things that are real, that are things that are really happening to people, which is why I've done a bunch of testing on what are the things that people will actually stop and look at, and I've done it through paid advertising and seeing the ads that perform well and the ads that don't. And it's always things that, like you're scrolling through and you see a picture of, family walking on the beach, right? And you go, oh, who is that? And it's kind of that voyeuristic, like, I want to know what their life is about. And so when you think about it from that standpoint, there's so much currency in documenting what the journey looks like and what's going on with it.
When I came out of art school,
right,
and all this stuff was new, one of the first things I wanted to do at my first job, the first agency I worked at, it was like, there's so much cool stuff going on.
Right.
There's so much cool stuff going on around the office. Like,
right.
We should just be filming this.
And
this is a decade ago. And it's amazing that people still don't understand that it's now it's so cheap to make something, but there's so much good stuff. Totally. And throughout a given 8-hour day, I bet you've got 12 minutes of really great content.
Yeah.
And you don't have to shoot all 8 hours of the day. You can maybe just shoot an hour of something, or find a sliver of somewhere to say, like I worked at another agency later, and everybody did trivia over lunch. And I was like, what a cool thing if they would have just like documented their trivia every day. It would have been something, you know. And I think, you know, we put too much stake in the content and we undervalue the content. And there's, you know, figuring out a show that makes sense. But sometimes it's just fun to see inside, and figure it out along the way, and I think that's what I guess what we're doing here is just trying to figure this out.
Right. But I like the. I think if you took, you know, any one of the projects that you or I have worked on, and just did a, maybe not daily, maybe a quick daily update, but like a weekly. So, you know, here's what's going on. Boy, I think that would be powerful because there are a lot of people. I mean, it's like when Pat Flynn back in the day did the, you know, whatever it was, trying to make a certain amount of money with, or get a certain number
smart passive income.
Yeah, but there was like a specific. I don't remember if it was like get a blog. Oh, I think it was ranking high in Google, like first page of Google. Who could do it fastest, him or some other dude? And it was fascinating because, you know, like you're sitting there watching Pat, like or, you know, reading what he was saying at that point. You know, reading his frustration of, I thought I had the code cracked, I thought I had figured it out, I thought I had everything where I needed, and then something happened, and you know, you're riding that roller coaster with him, which I'm guessing for him, there was, you know, there's comfort in knowing that you're not alone. And then for other people who are having similar journeys, that's gotta feel good as well. So I think there's something to that.
Yeah. You know, when I dissect, you know, Casey Neistat is GQ's New Media Star of the Year or whatever it was, you know, New Media Star. And totally makes sense. And 100% deserved.
Absolutely.
The guy hustles and works his ass off.
Big time.
And he tells great little stories. And then I saw a couple, you know, it's funny too, you start to see like YouTube's such a huge community and you see other people. And one guy was complaining that, you know, people were making fun of him because his vlogs were too much like Casey's, and he put a new vlog out saying, you know, Casey's not the only one who vlogs this way. And I'm like, and I added a comment, I'm like, you know, you're right. You know, you should be able to use all the tools, and you shouldn't be criticized if you're on a skateboard filming or you like to use a drone, or I'm like, but don't duplicate or replicate. Don't take Casey's formula, but make it your own formula and use the same tools. I don't think he's going to be he's going to be coming after you I think he'll be flattered. He'd be flattered that you, that you, just like Sarah Dici made that video of him, and then, you know, it's like, and I think, you know, it goes back to your point of like this Pat Flynn's thing with this community of people.
Yep.
And you know, these daily docs or these mini documentaries, and just getting the word out. And now I'm trying to figure out how to do it for my businesses more. And I'm twofold. I've got the business, I've got the startup, and I've got the, you know, filmmaker goal. And my brain goes to, okay, now the music, like the zombie music video's out. It's like, okay, how can I cut 50 little zombie snippets? I don't have all the time in the world to do that.
Right.
But I know that that's what I would do the next time. You know, like I would have those being edited before the even music video's done, and start getting those out into social media and start getting the word out about those things, because it's hard to talk to people and advise people and say, you just need to get your content out there when you know, you're not putting it out yourself.
Yep.
I just think about anytime you have anything like, what can you do around, and because you can create series. And the thing that I think is interesting is we'll see where YouTube lands in the future with everything that's going on there with, you know, the demonetization of videos and things.
Which
But
There's
it's
got to be a ton of content producers that are sweating.
right. Well, there's also Vox that came out, which is a platform that you can launch content on, and you can push it through to different,
Different
Apple TV and things.
Sure.
But it's tricky because YouTube, you've got this sort of built-in community and this kind of sharing thing.
YouTube is YouTube.
But it's interesting to see, like, okay, so now we have YouTube and we have Facebook,
That
and they're everybody's social sharing on there.
Content platforms, yeah.
We're in this wave, I think, of this idea of like just keep documenting, and Gary's like long tail, just let it go, let it run, and so it's about the frequency almost, and it's like you think about, and you referenced Jimmy Fallon earlier. It's like, look at a show like The Tonight Show that's been on for years, and look at the brand they built with Johnny. No, Dick Cavett, and then it turned into Johnny. I don't know, Dick Cavett show, but I think he was done, and then The Tonight Show started Johnny Carson, and then we had Jay Leno forever. So we've got 3 hosts. I don't even know the time frame of those years. But it's all about they've had a brand. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with, there's all these YouTube people just killing it, that are essentially having their own show.
Right.
Lily Singh or Casey or Gary's doing with Garyvee show,
Right.
and it's like, what an amazing platform. And there's there's tons of people with these huge audiences.
Well, and have you seen? So probably the person as a brand that I think has done better than pretty much everybody else is, and I it's so funny. My wife makes fun of me constantly. It's The Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
Right.
Who just launched his Rock TV, and I'm like, so brilliant.
Yeah.
So brilliant, because he gets it, and he has people around him who get it at such a high level. I mean, it's unbelievable. And he even talked about when he's signing deals, when he's doing movies, whatever, part of what's in those contracts is that he's going to bring his social media behemoth to bear. Like, I follow him on Instagram. It's not uncommon for a picture, video, whatever, to have 1 million hearts, 1 million likes.
Really?
It's not uncommon. Like, there is nothing that he does that has less than 100,000 people liking it. But I mean, it's easy high 6 figures, low 7 figures every time. And I look at that and go, oh my gosh. I mean, that's like a media company in and of itself.
Yeah.
And when you look at what he's built and the brand that he's built, now granted, I mean, he's no joke to begin with, but I mean, he was a professional wrestler and made the jump to, the big screen, and then has pivoted in so many ways and continues. And I think, and it comes back to the conversation we were having earlier, it comes back to authenticity. Like, I think if you were sitting next to that dude on an airplane, not that you ever would, because he wouldn't fit in the seat, and he probably doesn't fly, the standard carriers. He's got his private jet. But you sit down next to the dude, I think he's as genuine and normal of a guy as you see in all the different social platforms.
And he keeps it positive and clean all the time.
Totally. Yeah. He's I mean,
it's just a really interesting topic to think about. Traditional. Okay, so Orson Welles crafted radio, the radio story. Everybody started listening to radio.
Yeah.
Then TV came out.
Right.
And now the internet's coming out, and it's interesting. Like, there's young kids don't know the concept of actual television.
Right.
They think they know it's video, they know it's on demand. It's called TV, but it's not TV in the same form. So it's pretty interesting to me to see where content's gonna go.
Right.
And I think we may be in this phase of like these documentarians, like starting these shows.
Right.
I would like it to get to a place where these guys on YouTube could get to a place where they could do real scripted,
Right.
real narrative. Did you see Louis C.K.'s Horace and Pete show?
No.
So the Horace and Pete show, he released it online and charged the people bought it off his website. And there's a couple, there's some snippets of it on YouTube that you can check out. But what they did was he wrote these series of episodes where they shot live in a bar and they just would run it down like it was a play, like a live performance. And he had Steve Buscemi and Alan Alda and Jessica Lange were all in the show. So good, and it's his same style and his same joke cracking and all that stuff. But they would produce a show every week. They'd get in, he'd write it, they'd rehearse it, they'd have the episode, and they'd have the episode ready to release on a Sunday. And he did a whole period, and he apparently funded the whole thing himself. But that was really exciting TV.
Yeah.
It was super, super exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't even imagine. And so I think that's where you take these people who have money and who have some notoriety, The Rock, Louis C.K., whoever it happens to be, and they, instead of doing the next movie or the next HBO special or the next, comedy tour or the next, blockbuster, they're doing very different things. Mm-hmm. And to me, that shows a recognition that it's not about that it has nothing to do with how things have been done before. Mm. And I think, Gary had talked about, somebody had said, blah, 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 YouTube, the demonetization that we were talking about. And Gary said, anybody who's tying their entire business, living, whatever, to a single, entity owned by somebody else, it's like, what are you doing? You have no control over it.
What do you mean by entity owned by somebody else?
So
you're tying everything to YouTube?
So let's take, I have 4 daughters that, range between 4 and 13. And one of the things that they enjoy watching on YouTube is, these people that open up packages of, open up toys. And, the Disney collector, right? Well, the Disney collector's a decent 7-figure revenue company. I mean, it's this lady who shoots incredibly low. I mean, yeah, it's low quality. I mean, I think she would probably be proud of that she doesn't put a lot of production value into it. There's a little bit of editing, but yeah, I mean, she shoots this stuff and has millions and millions of views on every one of her things. So for her, she has tied her entire brand around YouTube. Everything is YouTube. All of her revenue stream is YouTube pre-roll. And there's a pre-roll on every single video. And so you look at that and go, so if YouTube changes the rules of how they're going to allow content creators to monetize, and she's hitched her entire wagon to YouTube, what happens? She's screwed. Maybe not. Maybe she can pivot fast enough.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people like that. And so Gary's point was, as a business owner, as a leader, if you tie everything to a single entity, content platform, whatever it happens to be, and then they change the rules.
But in this situation where you have a talent who's creating content, what other platforms are there where I mean, this is what's interesting is YouTube's really the only platform that gives you what a network gives you. So a network like NBC, they make all their content, but they are able to monetize it through ads, right? Product placement or what have you.
So you know what? That's what we should build is the streaming competitor, and I'm certain it already exists, but it probably sucks. The streaming content competitor specific for kids, because YouTube just released their YouTube Kids, which is a giant step in the right direction.
Right.
But if they're going to screw their content providers, then one up them. And let's be honest. I mean, and you know, I'm talking to you, you know, Larry and Sergey. Like, Google is a beast, and it's not the Google of 10 years ago.
Right.
I mean, they're a, you know, whatever, however many billion.
Well, and a lot of that
$billion
demonetization is computerized. So.
And I don't, and I'll be honest in saying, I don't know all the details, but I think there's a. So when you've had rules, when you've had rules that have been established for a really long time, and somebody's built their business around that, and then the rules shift, that's when the people who've built their business around it go, okay, what am I going to do? Now these people, they don't have the pull to be able to build their own. I mean, they can build their own site and do their own streaming, but that's not what my kids want. They don't want to go to the Disney Collector channel. They want to, or the Disney Collector website.
They want to go to YouTube.
They want to go, or if you had an alternative to YouTube that had things similar to YouTube's old monetization strategy. Right. And let's be honest, YouTube made a killing. I mean, YouTube is the latter day.
YouTube is synonymous with television now.
YouTube is the latter day TV.
I mean,
you want to watch this programming for free.
It's
okay. Just watch 8 minutes of commercials for every 22 minutes of programming. Now YouTube's a little bit better, where you've got a 45-second pre-roll that you can cancel out of in the first 5 seconds, but. It took my 4-year-old a while to figure that out, although, to be honest, she has figured it out. I don't know. I think that's an interesting angle.
Well, I forgot what I was going to say.
It was brilliant. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We appreciate the attention you've given us here. We really want to hear what you have to say. Post your comments below. Tell us, what would you do if you had an hour with Garyvee?